Hey, fellow Days of Our Lives fans, if you've been riding the emotional roller coaster ride of Salem for as long as I have, decades of devil possessions, Dimre schemes, miraculous returns from the dead, and Mohakova weddings, then you wakens Aunt and her Big John. Their love story isn't just a separate romance, it's the beating heart of the show. So when John was tragically written out last year following the heartbreaking reel, the passing of the legendary Drake Hoggeston, a piece of all of us broke right along with Marlena. The tears in that hospital room when John flatlined, they still sting. But lately, something extraordinary is happening on our screens that's giving every longtime viewer a glimmer of hope and maybe even a few happy tears. I'm starting to sense John's protective presence profoundly. I'm here to break it down, stand on relational layer, and tackle the big questions we're all asking. Do I think the DOOL writers will actually bring John back to Marlena? Why do we think it could happen? Let's dive deep into this guardian angel twist and discuss whether Salem's greatest love might just transcend death itself.
Let's start at the beginning of this latest miracle, because what's unfolding right now feels straight out of the classic Days playbook, only with an otherworldly twist that's hitting harder than ever. Marlena has been carrying the weight of her grief like the strong, elegant woman she's always been. She's thrown herself into her family, her patience, those quiet widow's lunches with Maggie and Julie where they share knowing glances and unspoken understanding. But behind closed doors in that penthouse, the nightmares have been relentless. Dreams of Stefano Demera calling her his queen of the night, pulling her back into that dark, hypnotic world he tried to trap her in for years. Even after they found his bones and laid him to rest in that elaborate urn at the Demera mansion, the echoes lingered. Stefano's spirit or whatever dark essence he left behind still haunted her. And then EJ started slipping on that infamous phoenix ring. You know the one. The ring that's been a symbol of Demera power, control, and pure menace for generations. When EJ wears it, something shifts in Salem. Power surges. Villainy stirs. And for Marlena, it used to trigger those nightmares all over again. But here's where the miracle kicks in, and trust me, it's the kind of scene that had me rewinding my Peacock app 3 times just to soak it in. In recent episodes, Marlena began to feel John. Not just remember him, feel him. A warm presence, a comforting whisper in the quiet moments, a sense that her beloved wasn't gone at all, but right there, watching over her. And the most astonishing part, the moment EJ and that Stefano ring come anywhere near her, the connection to Stefano's darkness vanishes completely. The nightmares, gone, as if John has stepped between his dock and the forces that tried to tear them apart for 40 years. It's as if John Black has returned from the afterlife itself, acting as Marlena's personal guardian angel. His powerful, protective presence wrapping around her like those strong arms used to do. Doc, I can almost hear him calling her in that gravelly voice that made us all swoon. Feeling him there is giving her a comfort she hasn't known since the day he slipped away in that hospital bed. This isn't just a fleeting moment either. The writers are layering it with so much tenderness and detail that it feels intentional, like they're building something bigger. Marlena has discovered something John left behind before he passed, an unseen token, maybe a letter, a gift, or some personal memento he hid away knowing she'd need it most. Whatever it is, it's become her anchor. She touches it in quiet moments, and suddenly the grief doesn't feel quite so crushing. She's still mourning, yes. The loss of the man she vowed to love through every possession, every brainwashing, every death and resurrection is profound. But at least now she no longer feels distant from him. His physical presence may be gone from Salem's streets, but their bond, one forged in fire and love that survived more Demera schemes than anyone can count, remains unbreakable. She doesn't want to move on. She's made that crystal clear, and Deidre Hall has echoed it in interviews. Marlena will always remember her beloved John, and feeling his spirit so close is slowly healing those deep emotional wounds in a way nothing else could. To truly appreciate how powerful this twist is, we have to go back and remember just how epic John and Marlena's journey has always been. This isn't some flash-in-the-pan romance. These two have been Salem's gold standard since the mid-1980s. John first arrived as a mysterious pawn with no memory, brainwashed by Stefano himself. Marlena was married to Roman Brady at the time, but the chemistry between her and this enigmatic stranger was undeniable. Then came the bombshell, John was Roman. Or so we thought. The identity swaps, the plastic surgery reveals, the constant Stefano interference site was non-stop drama. Stefano kidnapped Marlena, drugged her, made her believe she was his queen. John rescued her time and again, only to lose her to possessions, to the devil himself in that iconic 1990s storyline where Marlena levitated and terrorized the town. John never gave up. He fought for her through amnesia, through fake deaths, through island exiles and cryogenic freezes. Remember their multiple weddings, the grand ceremonies interrupted by Stefano's goons, the quiet vows renewed in the penthouse after every crisis. Their children Brady, Belle, and the extended family they built were born from a love that refused to die. And the deaths? Oh, we've seen John presumed dead more times than I can count. Shot, blown up, lost at sea, trapped in a coma only to claw his way back every single time. That's why this latest absence hits so differently. When John flatlined after that lab explosion trying to save Beau, and the show chose not to recast in honor of Drake Hodgson's legacy, it felt final. Marlena stood at his grave, whispering goodbye, her world shattered. Fans around the world grieved with her. But Days of Our Lives has always thrived on the impossible. Stefano died how many times only to rise like the phoenix on his ring? Kristen, Rolf, all those mad scientists bringing people back from the brink. So when Marlena started sensing John right as EJ's Stefano ring started pulsing with that old evil energy, it felt like the show was saying, this love is bigger than death. John is protecting her the only way he can know from beyond. Let's paint the scene more vividly because the way it played out was pure soap magic. Imagine Marlena alone in her living room, the weight of another sleepless night pressing down. She's clutching that memento from John, a watch, perhaps, or a faded photo from one of their many honeymoons. Suddenly, a soft breeze stirs the curtains even though the windows are closed. She feels it, his presence. Strong, steady, loving. John, she whispers, voice cracking with hope. Dear warms. Peace settles over her like a blanket. Later that same week, EJ storms into a family gathering wearing the ring, chest puffed with demure arrogance. Marlena braces herself for the familiar dread, the nightmares that used to flood back the second that ring glinted under the lights. But nothing. No chill down her spine. No visions of Stefano's mocking laugh. Instead, she feels John stronger than ever, like he's standing right beside her, hand on her shoulder, whispering, I've got you, Doc. The nightmares don't come that night. Or the next. It's as if her guardian angel has drawn a line in the sand. Stefano's influence ends here. This development isn't just comforting Marlena on screen, it's healing fans too. We've watched Deidre Hall pour her heart into these scenes, and you can feel the real-life emotion layered in. She's said in recent interviews that Marlena's grief is all-consuming right now. She's not looking for new romance. But that doesn't mean the door is closed forever to love. And here's where the speculation gets deliciously dramatic. Could the writers be setting up a full return for John? In a new guise? Perhaps. Soap operas have done it before. Remember when John came back with a different face after one of his deaths? Or the time he was revealed to be someone entirely new? With EJ dabbling in cryogenic chambers and Dr. Rolf still lurking in the shadows, who's to say there isn't a twist coming? Maybe John's essence was preserved somehow. Maybe a miracle drug or a vision that turns real. Or perhaps the writers will keep him as this guardian spirit, appearing in dreams, guiding Marlena through crises, always there when she needs him most. Now, let's get to the heart of the question every fan is debating in group chats and forums. Do I think the DOOL writers will bring John back to Marlena? My answer, after watching this show through every head writer change and network shift, is yes in some form. And here's why we think so. First, the history. Days of Our Lives has built its legacy on resurrection stories. John Black alone has died and returned at least half a dozen times. Stefano rose from the ashes literally. The show knows what its audience craves, hope. That unbreakable super couple bond. Ratings soar when Marlena and John reconnect, even in the smallest ways. Look at the fan reaction to these recent sensing. Social media is exploding with hashtags like JohnIsWatching and Guardian Angelgen. People are invested. The writers, smart as they are, see that. Jean Marie Ford and Paul quickly have hinted that anything is possible for Marlena's future, even while acknowledging her current grief. They're not slamming the door. Second, the supernatural element fits perfectly into Salem's DNA. We've had the devil, ghosts, possession. She not a protective spirit from the great beyond. John as Marlena's guardian angel allows the show to honor Drake Hodgson's incredible legacy without a recast that might feel disrespectful. It keeps John present, keeps their love alive on screen, and gives Deidre Hall beautiful, layered material to work with. She's said Marlena will love again someday, but right now, this presence is exactly what her character needs to heal. It's poetic. It's dramatic. It's days. But let's be real and discuss the other side too, because good speculation always does. There are reasons it might stay spiritual rather than physical. Drake's passing was devastating, and the show handled John's exit with such grace and finality to honor him. No recast announced, no cheap revival. Bringing a new actor in as John could risk alienating fans who see Drake as irreplaceable. The writers have emphasized Marlena's consuming grief in 2026 previews. She's focusing on family, on healing, not jumping into anyone's arms. If they rush a full return, it might undermine that emotional journey. Plus, AJ's Stefano Ring storyline is heating up separate to Cryogen's pods, Udemera power plays. The writers might want to keep John's spirit as a quiet, ongoing comfort rather than a full resurrection that overshadows other arcs. Still, I'm betting on more. Soap operas love the long game. We could see John appear in visions during major cries, whispering advice during a Demera showdown, protecting Marlena from a new threat. Or that unseen thing he left behind could lead to a bigger mystery, a letter revealing he knew about some experimental treatment, or a clue that ties into Rolf's lab. Unexpected turn. Absolutely. Could we soon see John in a completely new guise? Maybe a mysterious stranger who looks nothing like him but carries his essence, a classic soap amnesia twist. Or perhaps the guardian angel evolves into something more tangible during a near-death experience from Marlena. We've seen crazier things in Salem. The key is they're keeping the door cracked open just enough for hope. Think about what this presence is already doing for Marlena's character arc. She's always been the strong one psychiatrist who heals everyone else while quietly carrying her own pain. Feeling John close is letting her breathe again. She's smiling more, engaging with her kids and grandkids with that old spark. The grief is still there, raw and real, but it's no longer isolating. She doesn't feel distant from the man who was her everything. Their love story spanning possessions, brainwashing, kidnappings, and countless goodbyes has always been about soul-deep connection. Physical or spiritual, it endures. And that's the beauty the writers are tapping into. Fans, I've been writing about Days for years, and I've never seen a storyline hit quite this emotionally. It honors the past while teasing the future. Marlena discovering that memento from John, whether it's a handwritten note saying "I'll always be with you," Doc, or a piece of jewelry from one of their adventures, will be a tearjerker moment we'll replay endlessly. And when EJ inevitably tries to wield Stefano's ring for some new scheme, only to have it fizzle against Marlena's invisible shield. Pure gold. It's John saying, even from the other side, no one touches my wife. So, will the writers bring John back to Marlena? I believe they will, maybe not in the flesh the way we dreamed during all those past deaths, but in the ways that matter most. Through presence, through protection, through love that refuses to fade. Why? Because Days of Our Lives understands its audience. We want the drama, the twists, the Demera villainy, but above all, we want hope. We want to believe that the greatest love in Salem can conquer even death. The signs are there, the sensing, the nightmares vanishing, the guardian angel stepping in at the perfect moment. It's not random, it's deliberate storytelling. Let's keep watching together, speculating in the comments, rewatching those quiet Marlena scenes where you can almost see John's shadow beside her. Could a full, shocking return happen? Will John appear in a new guise, perhaps tied to whatever's lurking in EJ's lab? Only time and the brilliant DOOL writers will tell. But one thing is certain, John Black may be gone from our screens and body, but his spirit is alive and well, watching over the woman he loves. And for Marlena, for us fans, that—
What do you think, Time fans? Is this the beginning of John Free's Turner or a Vito Frere Willard for a read in Salem?